Hello and welcome to this lecture on Adobe Photoshop by Eduonix Technologies. In this lecture we're going to be going into metadata for a photograph, and I just needed an image. I don't know if I really even need anything in it, but I figured it'd be good to have an actual image with the metadata. And I can see this in the thumbnails too, so I'm using Windows and I usually have thumbnails on for a lot of the folders that store images. So anyway, I would just save an image that you can work on. But you really don't even need to do that. It'll store the information for you, so you can just go to File, down to File Info, and the first bit is pretty much everything that the basics, the ones you should have in there, is a document title, which you'd think would populate itself automatically, but you'd typically fill in at, I don't know who uses rating. Keywords can be helpful because search engines can use this metadata to find things about your image individually. Copyright notice, there's search engines that use this too, so while it's often not a human looking at it, or a human will look at it, and you can at least protect your images by having copyright information built into the metadata, which is invisible data in the image. Of course, it'll come up in a lot of viewers. So there's a lot more categories here. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly. So title, author, author title, if you have one that's like Mr. whatever. And description, really just author, description, document title. These are the three most important ones. Then followed by keywords, and if you have it in a URL, or if you want to put it all right in the actual image, which is what I recommend, because I mean we have huge hard drives nowadays. When this was originally implemented, probably more than 10 years ago, we had smaller hard drives. Space is at a premium, and the amount of space that a couple ASCII characters add to your document is negligible. So second most important are right here, and you'll know for each of these what you want to put. Also, you have copyright status, and you can put this in the public domain. I don't know how legit this particular, but this is like image standards right here, accepted by probably the most people. And these are, you'll find, the most important ones. Like if there's one you have to focus on, it should be these. Now, IPTC and IPTC extension. So I'm filling this out, and I'll fill it out before I go each time. But just note some of the keywords here are repeated, just one of them. Don't do this that often, but it does kind of clear you for like it makes Google know that you're not auto-generating. It lets their spiders know that you're not auto-generating, which might make sense to some of you SEO types. But it's really important to have keywords for SEO and these top ones, because it helps Google not only keep your files straight, and I put an uncopyright on it if you're curious about how to do that. It just keeps it in the public domain so that people can't just snatch it up and claim it. But I think that's kind of included in public domain. But you'd put copyright if this was actually copyright. So let's take a look at these two now, IPTC and the extension. It's first going to auto-populate the creator from over here in the author section, which is good. We like auto-population. There's going to be a lot of fields. It's basically contact information for this particular core standard. The IPTC, which is the International Press Telecommunications Council, or you can find them at iptc.org. Here's basically what's happened in the last couple of years if you just look on the site here in the last 4 years. So they're always updating standards, and they have like chairmen and people that run it. So there's all that, and that's stuff that you would put in for the IPTC. Contact would be obviously who you are, and it's good to go this deep into the information, the meta information, because the deeper you go, the less people are looking for it if they're trying to strip it of meta information. And it continues on in IPTC extension. So there's something called copyright management information, and it's the most critical information, and it's protected under the DC, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, I think. Yeah, the DCMA, and that is IPTC contact information, as well as the copyright notice, info URL, the status. I believe also the title, author, and description are all things that are protected from being stripped. However, you have to make sure when you're, like, for example, adding this image to social media, I would download it right afterwards from the place that you got it and check to see what meta information remains, because some social media doesn't. Some social media automatically strips your meta information, and you have to be careful about this when you're uploading content. You might want to do a test upload first to see precisely what they are stripping and to know what you can leave in there. There is some debate as to whether or not meta information is very important or just something that's negligible. But as far as things like the title, author, and description, copyright information, I would make sure you always have that in there when it's something, especially if it's something important. Whether or not another site strips it, then it's out of your hands. But just looking at some more of these categories, if you fill in these first three, that's about all you need. However, let's take a look at some of the rest of them. Both camera and GPS data are importable, and usually they're automatically filled out. If you're using this straight from your cameras folder, it'll have camera data in it. As you can see, this has image size. That's actually from Photoshop, and the resolution is from Photoshop. GPS data is different. It's if you have a location, and it's automatically put in here. Once again, can be imported. Video and audio data we're not really going to worry about. There's mobile SWF, which takes mobile shockwave flash data, and a lot of these are taking things from the first view, especially the first one tab. So when you fill this in, you end up filling in a lot of the other ones automatically, and that makes it pretty convenient. Then we have origin, is origin information such as date created, and city, country, and state if you're in the US, and then credit and the source are for what the image is of, or the source. Like if you're in a museum taking a picture of another picture. DICOM is not important, or something you'd have to worry about. And history is once again another importable field. The last one is just a bunch of timestamps and properties where all the information is stored in the actual file, and you can delete certain parts of it, or you can, import all this stuff from a saved metadata information. But for the most part, let's just worry about this description, IPTC extension. And really, if you just fill in this first one page, you'll get a lot of the rest of it filled in, and just pick over certain parts of this, determine what you want in your image. But that's all it is for the metadata tutorial. There's, if you look up, for instance, the top 12 metadata myths from the site controlledvocabulary.com, there's a lot of what I've been discussing, and you want to learn a little bit more about metadata, just do some Google searches. But that's all for this one, and thanks for watching.